Blessed hero viewers of Equinoxe Television, it's time for the news. We thank you so much for joining us. We begin right away with our major stories. Domestic gas is still very scarce in most towns across the national territory. In this newscast, we will be telling you about the ordeal of domestic gas users in the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Boya and in Douala. Bad roads and poor electricity supply are said to be some of the major problems faced by locals of the Douala 3 municipality. They made that precision during their recent budgetary session. Details and more in this newscast, so stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. We begin right away in Boya, the chief town of the Southwest region, talking about the scarcity of domestic gas, which has been very persistent. Inhabitants of Boya have been complaining that domestic gas has been very scarce and they are going through a lot to be able to cook for their families. They have to queue up whenever they hear that gas is available somewhere. Our reporter, Smart Ndikangiru, tells us more about the ordeal of domestic gas users in Boya.
At the esplanade of the Moliko Omnisport Stadium in Boya, southwest region of Cameroon, it was a huge crowd that came out to acquire gas, which has been scarce for the past weeks. This was after the arrival of a good quantity of gas in a lorry. The population only had to fight in order to get a bottle of gas, which was being sold at 6,600 francs CFA. Amongst the several people who came for their gas was a physically disabled man who also struggled to get what many have termed precious commodity. Getting a bottle of gas wasn't a child's play. And those who successfully purchased it, it was total joy. While authorities struggled to sell the gas without any irregularities, others were spotted transporting empty gas bottles via the fence after paying some money to be served immediately at the detriment of others who were at the gate. Notwithstanding the quantity of gas that was brought to Boya, not everyone who was present returned home with a filled gas bottle, as they hope another consignment will arrive soon to satisfy those who didn't have it.
And now we move over to education. Violence and drug consumption are some of those negative attitudes which have been noticed in most schools across the national territory. And as a result, the senior divisional officer for the Open Camp Division of the West Region has launched a campaign against that ill. It was at the Government Technical High School in Bafang. Our reporter, Mala Glory, tells us more.
Youths, especially those in the school milieu, mostly indulge in the consumption of hard drugs and the promotion of violence.
Je dis oui à la dénonciation. Je dis oui à la dénonciation. Je dis non à la drogue. Je dis non à la drogue. Je dis non à la drogue.
It is against this backdrop that the senior divisional officer for the Open Camp Division, together with the divisional officer of Banka, launched an awareness campaign at the Government Technical High School Bafang, West Region of the Republic.
Nous vous demandons aujourd'hui de sensibiliser et de poursuivre.
We call on you today to be responsible and advise your classmates to be responsible as well. Together we shall launch the Operation No Delinquency in our schools. We do not want you to carry dangerous weapons and drugs around. We say no to inappropriate behaviors and no to fighting in schools.
Nous ne voulons plus les bagarres ici.
Lanyu Haringwanyi, during the campaign, also warned the students against the practice of witchcraft and other devilish activities carried out by the students in order to succeed in their exams. We don't want students practicing witchcraft. Yes, because others think to succeed in their exams, you need to be involved in something devilish. During the campaign, mobile telephones and some harmful objects were seized from the students by the security forces present on campus.
And still in education, the Minister for Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, has adjusted the academic calendar for the academic year 2022-2023. And contrary to the previous years, the General Certificate of Education, both the ordinary level and the advanced level, will begin from the 30th of May to the 15th of June. Immaculate Fogwe completes the story.
List published by the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, the official calendar of the 2022-2023 general examinations has been modified. The session will run from the 2nd of May to the 31st of August 2023. This year, the General Certificate of Education across the national territory will be written from the 30th of May to the 15th of June 2023, contrary to last year, which was written on the 28th of June, while the BAPC and the BAPC Bileng will be written from the 5th of June to the 9th of June 2023. Probatoire preparations will start from the 10th of May to the 2nd of June, and the baccalaureate examinations will begin from the 10th of May to the 3rd of June. With the modifications, Maurice Somo, an educationist, advised students to pay attention to every information.
Effectivement, la modification du calendrier.
Effectively, the modification of the calendar can have an impact on students, but all through the year, teachers have the role of preparing students on the different ways in which they can adapt to their timetable. Notably, it concerns the time, the date, errors, and others. So despite the change in calendar, students still have enough time to prepare.
Suffisamment de temps, n'est-ce pas, pour permettre aux apprenants d'être suffisamment avisés.
He adds that with the modification, students and teachers are supposed to put in more efforts.
Tout bon candidat en réalité.
Every candidate on the verge of any examination is supposed to look for his name and class, everything that will be posted. So we also call on those concerned with examinations to multiply the different communication channels in order for every candidate to have access to information before writing.
Et accès à l'information avant d'aller à l'examen.
Professor Nalova Lyonga in the publication adds that the calendar for the practical tests of physical education and sports will be fixed by the regional delegates of secondary education in the period from Monday 24th of April to Friday May 12, 2023.
That was Lucy Liengu Asia reporting. And now we talk something else. Coming back to Douala, bad roads, poor electricity supply and water shortage are some of the problems faced by the inhabitants of the Douala 3 subdivision in the littoral region. The presentation was made during the recent budgetary session which took place at the Douala 3 Council, and the municipal authority saying those problems would soon be a thing of the past. A reporter, Innocent Aze, tells us more.
Circulating in most quarters in the Douala 3 municipality has been practically impossible due to the deplorable state of roads. During a budgetary session of the Douala 3 Council, municipal authorities gave deliverance hope to the population.
What to do next year is to try to maintain the roads. We ought to have in the project to create a public work department in charge of the maintenance of the roads. We have the second thing to do is to continue all the building that we have started. You know that we have some chantier there that have started. We have to continue and finish those chantiers.
Apart from these, the Douala 3 Municipal Authority assures the population will be freed from the water crisis and electricity ordeal they have been facing.
We have to to see about water flow in some quarters. In this city, you have know that people who are living like Bilongue, Cité-Belge, and so on, they have problem of water. So you have to maintain those water, and then you have the light in the quarters in all our city. You have darkness in some place, so you have to fight against that darkness.
Taking part in the budgetary session was the senior divisional officer for the Wuri division, who called on the population to collaborate with municipal authorities to realize these earmarked projects through tax payment.
C'est pour ça que j'ai invité d'abord chaque conseiller à s'acquitter de sa taxe.
This, according to the senior divisional officer for the Wuri, will be for the good of the population, who will see their living conditions ameliorate.
And we continue in politics. The Alliance of Progressive Forces, the political party members say Cameroon is at its worst and should be saved now or never. Speaking in a press conference here in Douala, the party says a more inclusive dialogue is needed to solve or resolve the crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions. Our reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, attended that press conference. He now completes the story.
Building its argument on the proliferation of hate speech and divisive tendencies on social media, the unending armed conflicts in the northwest, southwest, and the far north region, the composition of political clans and fights for positioning and individualism, the fight over the electoral code, the COVID-Gate embezzlement scandals, the rise in the prices of basic commodities and rising moral decadence, the Alliance of Progressive Forces, the APF political party, says Cameroon is at its worst and should be saved now or never.
Ces soldats qui meurent, ces familles endeuillées, ces inondations qui rythment désormais notre quotidien.
The soldiers dying, floods and inundations, high cost of living are part of our suffering.
À la crise économique se succède une crise sanitaire, politique qui fragilise chaque jour notre vivre ensemble.
Talking to men and women of the press in Douala, the party's national president Sri Sambaka says the ruling CPDM party, the opposition and Cameroonians have all failed in building a better Cameroon in their respective areas since independence.
Il faut donc que nous unissions pour travailler ensemble. En d'autres termes,
as a solution and way forward, Sri Sambaka called for a mutualization of economic, political and social forces for the interest of Cameroon, a kind of one-party system and a nationally agreed economic and social model which he says has helped China to be where it is today.
Ouvrir un dialogue inclusif avec tous les acteurs de la crise.
Open an inclusive dialogue with one or more mediators
afin de trouver des voies pacifiques. Nous envisageons une communication de proximité.
We envisage a grassroots communication to sell our ideas to Cameroonians, work with people of goodwill for the success of these proposals. We are of course open to the government of our country.
Dans la mise en application de ces propositions.
Sri Sambaka, however, insisted that the APF political party would participate in the 2025 municipal, legislative and presidential elections, everything being equal. The press conference came close to 2 years after his election at the helm of the political party of the opposition.
And the United Nations is pushing for the respect of human rights, especially the respect of the rights of the minority groups, especially through the media. They have been schooling journalists from 4 regions in Cameroon about minority group reporting. Our staffman Babila Jonathan tells us more. We come back to this report, which says the UN has been pushing for the respect of human rights, especially the rights of the minority group through the media. The UN is assembling journalists, media persons from 4 different regions to school them on how to report on the minority groups in Cameroon. Let's now have more with Babila Jonathan. Well, we'll be coming to that report in our subsequent editions of the news. Now we take you out of the country, our viewers, after the resignation of the president of, we are taking you out of the country, viewers. The president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, was designated, that was on Tuesday, facilitator in the Chadian crisis by the Community of the Central African States, meeting in an extraordinary summit in Kinshasa. The summit held was devoted to the political transition process in Chad, and it comes a few days after demonstrations which killed about 50 people on October 20 in Chad. Chadian leader Muhammad Idris David No was present at the meeting, which was attended by heads of state or representatives of 11 ECA's member countries. And in Uganda, 6 school children have been tested positive for Ebola. The health minister said this is making a serious escalation of outbreak declared just over a month ago. The children who attended different schools in Kampala are among the 15 people in the city confirmed to have been infected with Ebola. That was according to the Ministry of Health. The Minister of Health, Jane Ruth, authorities are following up 170 contacts of people supposed to have been infected by Ebola in Uganda's capital, Kampala. And viewers, thank you so much for always being there. That was it for the news, but don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. On Talking Points tonight, viewers, we are receiving an environmentalist, Dr. Ekindi Mundingo. We will be talking about the frequent floods across Cameroon, Africa, and in the world. Recently, we also saw that the far north region of the country was severely flooded and causing several persons to suffer, and some of them were displaced. And also in Nigeria, we noticed that so many persons were even killed by runoffs caused by floods in the northern part of Nigeria. And even in the US, some states have been flooded recently. We have been told it is caused by climate change. We need somebody to explain to us further. Nobody but an environmentalist, Dr. Ekindi Montingo. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
It's a pleasure always to be in the media to talk about certain things which concern the environment. And thank you for the opportunity. I know it has not been easy, but I am here to shed light on certain issues about our environment and the people.
I was saying a while ago that most parts of the world are now flooded. We are in the month of October. We're already getting into the dry season, but the rains continue and floods also intensify. What can be the cause, major cause of this phenomenon?
First of all, what we need to mention here is that the geomorphology or the topography of the area determines whether we are going to have a flood or landslide, because that's one of the other factors. When the carrying capacity of the soil and the texture of the soil, the nature of the soil does not have that capacity to retain water, and in terms of speculation, you have landslide at the hinterland mostly, but you also have erosion in as well. For the peasant, what we need to just mention is that, like I mentioned a while ago, it's that the amount of carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide is just the smoke, for example, which we produce by burning charcoal or burning tires, or the type of cars that we use, which some of them are outdated. So just imagine Douala, particularly if you can watch it in the evening, you have like a cloudy environment which is made up of particles and dust. So that's also contributes to that effect of overheating. But if you go back to the peasant, what I would just need to mention is that it's not only their action also has contributed one way or the other by this slash and burn attitude which we have, has also contributed in as much as putting back the carbon dioxide into the environment. So global effect now is impacting each region on a specific aspect. Maybe you go maybe in the far north in Cameroon, you will see that the heat, you have more heat, you have high winds, you can also have precipitation, sudden precipitation, which is it may be long, it may be short, but in the littoral region, especially between the Cameroon estuary, you find out that you always have rains. If you go to Dibuncha, the sequence of Dibuncha, which is one of the highest areas which you have rainfall, you also have that pattern which has shifted a little bit. The simple thing is that the climate is no longer what it was, because when we talk about climate change, we talk in the series of a longer period, but normally we have a climate a daily climate, which you have temperature, you have humidity, you have all the other aspects which are tied to precipitation and temperature. But clearly, what I'm trying to point out here is that there is a shift over the last 30 years of the rhythm or the seasonality of rain pattern, the temperature, and the other aspect which human beings have contributed in as much is that human beings are going today where previously were occupied by just normal trees, which were participating in the aspect of respiration and photosynthesis to bring out the simple oxygen which was necessary for plants to grow. So the atmosphere today, you have high winds and all the other things. So the peasants, they will always face that difficulty, because even the prediction nowadays, it's not clear. They do projection modelings, they have done, but the clear fact is that the amount of carbon dioxide, which is CO2, has increased drastically compared to what we had 20 years back. 20 years back, it was around 200 ppm, parts per million, but now it's almost 400 parts per million, so it's much, and those are the elements which we will definitely be realizing as time goes by. We need collective actions to that.
Thank you, Doc, for that response. And you just mentioned peasants or farmers there. They are the ones, the group of persons who are mostly affected by the change of climate or change of season. Is there something they should know to put into practice to reduce or reverse the negative effect of the changing seasons on agriculture?
Maybe we will now be trying to do what we know as smart agriculture. Smart agriculture is just going back to the basics which we had in those days, to do a mixed crop planting and take, for example, not to use too much fertilizer. And the other aspect is that if they can have greenhouses which they can produce off-season and in-season, and so there in that greenhouse, you can regulate, but it's costly. So the basic thing is to be able to follow what the National Observatory of Climate is trying to put forth by giving the prediction which the peasants or the farmers today they have to follow. So basically they have to come back to the basic with their own knowledge of which they had, and that of science, to put it together so that they can be able to sometimes curtail the loss that they may have in their various farms with respect to the climate change. But notwithstanding, the earth has its we believe maybe the earth will auto-regulate himself and come back to the normal state which you have, but it is very difficult from the perspective which I see today, especially in Cameroon with the high deforestation rate which is rampant here and there, and you're just mindful of the fact that you have shortage of gas. You see how people are rushing to charcoal and all the other things. So where are we going? We wonder, but we want to have cake, and at the same time we don't know how to prepare the cake. That's an issue. So we'll look about it and as we move on. But the peasants, they are at the center of it, and I think those who are in charge of climate issues with respect to the Ministry of Agriculture should help these peasants to also give them a calendar of seasonality so that they will be best acquainted with all this, but also the aspect of capacity building. It's also needed to have this smart agriculture species.
Okay, Doc, we are having some issues getting you here clearly in the studio, but just my last question so we don't miss you somewhere. What can be done to ensure that people who are affected by these floods don't feel it 100%?
Yes, there is a lot to be done, be it, I don't want to put it, but there's a blame factor here. When you see the way things are going, there's a blame factor. On the one hand, they are blaming the government. On the other hand, the individuals, the government are blaming the people. But I think we need to come back to the drawing board. The drawing board is just very simple. Is that who issues the building permits? Are they regular permits which obeys what is prescribed in the building permits criteria? Because normally, in one of the aspects, I don't remember specifically the law, but there's an article which states that you must perform soil analysis to see if the soil can so, but that one has not been done. But the case of inundation or flooding in the littoral region, it's peculiar because we need to bring oceanographers to be able to synchronize the alarm system, which to tell the people or the peasant or those who are living, the citizens, that maybe with this rain we project that is going to happen like this. So the alarm system.
Thank you, Doc. We sincerely apologize for the poor sound quality. Sure, we will be coming back with Dr. Ekinti Munti, who is an environmentalist, to tell us more how what can be done to revert the frequent floods in most cities in Cameroon and recently in the far north region of Cameroon and the northern regions of Nigeria. Thank you, Doctor, for accepting our invitation today, and hope to have you again some other time for more details. Viewers, thank you so much for always being there. We have come to the end of the news. Thank you for always according us your time. Don't go away. Our programs continue as usual. The news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. And in about 30 minutes, you will be with Serge Alangotu. Bye-bye for now and stay blessed.